There are moments in life when words fail us, when prayers feel incomplete, emotions feel tangled, and silence becomes our loudest cry. In those moments, remember this powerful truth: God is interpreting you. God does not only hear the words you speak, He understands the meanings you cannot express. When your heart is heavy but your lips are quiet, God reads the language of your soul. He interprets your tears, your waiting, your confusion, and even your faith when it feels weak. Heaven is not confused by your silence. Many times we believe we must explain ourselves perfectly to be understood. But God is not limited by vocabulary or grammar. He understands the intent behind every broken prayer. When you don't know what to ask for, God knows what you need. When you ask for relief, God interprets it as healing. When you ask for answers, God interprets it as growth. There are seasons in life when language breaks down, when emotions are too heavy, thoughts are too scattered, and pain is too deep to be expressed clearly. In those moments, you may feel frustrated, believing that because you cannot explain yourself, you are not fully understood. But this is where God's nature separates Him from everyone else. God understands what you cannot put into words. Human understanding depends on explanation. People need clarity, structure, and sentences that make sense. God does not. He does not wait for you to organize your feelings before He listens. He does not require perfect prayers or carefully chosen words. God listens beyond speech. He listens to the heart, the intent, and the burden beneath the silence. There are prayers you try to pray but cannot finish, thoughts you carry but cannot name, emotions you feel but cannot describe. To you, they feel incomplete. To God, they are already clear. He understands the fear behind your calm voice, the faith behind your questions, and the hope hidden inside your tears. What you struggle to express, God already comprehends fully. Sometimes you say the wrong thing in prayer, not because your heart is wrong, but because your understanding is limited. You may ask for escape when God knows you need strength. You may ask for removal when God knows you need refinement. Even then, God does not respond to the surface of your words. He responds to the depth of your need. He interprets your prayer according to His wisdom, not your weakness. This truth brings relief. You don't have to sound spiritual to be heard by God. You don't have to impress Him with long prayers or religious language. A sigh, a tear, a quiet moment of surrender, these speak loudly in heaven. God understands the meaning behind the emotion, even when the emotion overwhelms you. When you are confused, God understands your confusion without condemning it. When you are afraid, God understands your fear without withdrawing His presence. When you are exhausted, God understands your weariness without demanding more from you. He sees the weight you carry internally, even when no one else notices. This is why you can come to God honestly. You can come broken, unsure, and unfinished. You don't have to filter your pain or hide your doubts. God understands the version of you that is still healing. He understands the prayers you never said out loud and the cries you swallowed in silence. To be understood without explanation is rare among people, but it is normal with God. He understands you completely, consistently, and compassionately. And that understanding is not passive. It guides how He protects you, corrects you, and leads you forward. There are moments in life when prayer has no sound. Your lips do not move, your voice does not rise, and yet your heart is crying out louder than words ever could. In those moments, it is easy to believe that because nothing was said, nothing was heard. But silence does not mean absence. God hears unspoken prayers. God is not limited to audible communication. He is present in the quiet, attentive in the stillness, and deeply aware of what is happening within you when you cannot speak. When your strength is gone and words feel heavy, your silence becomes a language God understands perfectly. Heaven is not silent when you are quiet. There are silent prayers formed by exhaustion. When you've prayed the same request for so long that all you could do now is sit with it. There are silent prayers formed by disappointment. When hope has been stretched thin, there are silent prayers formed by trust. When you stop asking because you've placed the matter fully in God's hands. Every one of these is heard. God hears the prayer hidden in your patience. He hears the prayer in your endurance. He hears the prayer in your decision not to give up, even when you don't know what else to say. Silence before God is not neglect. Often, it is surrender. It is the moment when words step aside and faith takes their place. Sometimes God allows silence because He is working beneath the surface. Just as roots grow in the dark and foundations are built out of sight, God often responds to silent prayers with unseen movement. What you cannot hear does not mean nothing is happening. It means something deeper is taking place. God also understands the silence caused by pain. There are wounds so deep they steal your voice. There are losses so heavy they leave you numb. In those moments, God does not step back. He steps closer. He listens to your breath, your heartbeat, your tears, and the aches you carry within. Silence does not push God away. It draws His attention. When you sit quietly before God, unsure of what to ask for or how to say it, He interprets your stillness as trust. He reads your silence as dependence. He sees your quiet as faith resting in His sovereignty. God is not offended by your silence. He honors it. So when you feel unheard because you have nothing left to say, remember this truth: God is present even when you are quiet. He hears what is unspoken, understands what is unfinished, and responds in ways that go beyond words. Human communication depends on words, tone, and clarity. Meaning is often judged by how something is said rather than why it is said. But God does not operate that way. God interprets the heart, not just spoken language. He looks beyond vocabulary and listens to the motive and the desire and the condition of the inner life. You may struggle to say the right thing. You may worry that your prayers are too simple, too emotional, or too inconsistent. But God is not measuring your words. He is reading your heart. He understands what you mean even when your words are incomplete or imperfect. The sincerity behind your prayer matters more than the structure of it. There are times when your words say one thing, but your heart carries something deeper. You may say, "I'm fine," while your heart is burdened. You may say, "I trust you," while fear still lingers inside. God recognizes both. He does not reject you for the gap between your confession and your struggle. Instead, He responds to the honesty beneath it. God also understands the conflict within the heart, the place where faith and doubt exist. At the same time, you can believe and still feel uncertain. You can obey and still feel afraid. God does not misunderstand this tension. He sees a heart that is learning, growing, and leaning toward Him even when it trembles. When your heart longs for something you don't know how to articulate, God already knows the shape of that desire. When your heart is broken, but your prayer sounds calm, God feels the weight you are carrying. When your words fall short, your heart fills in the meaning, and God receives it clearly. This is why God values authenticity over appearance. He's not impressed by eloquent prayers that hide a distant heart, and He is not discouraged by simple prayers that come from a sincere place. A heart that seeks Him, even quietly and imperfectly, is fully understood by God. God's interpretation of the heart also means He responds with wisdom. He answers not according to what you say in the moment, but according to what your heart truly needs. He knows when your request is coming from pain, when it is coming from fear, and when it is coming from growth. His response is shaped by His understanding of your inner condition. To be known at the heart level is both humbling and comforting. It means you cannot pretend, but it also means you do not have to. God already knows the truth of who you are, where you are, and what you are becoming. And He listens with compassion, not judgment. There are moments when words fail completely, and all that remains are tears. In those moments, it may feel as if nothing meaningful is being communicated, as if pain has taken over and prayer has stopped. But this is a misunderstanding. Tears are a form of prayer God fully understands. They carry meaning, depth, and honesty that words often cannot reach. Tears come from places deeper than language. They rise from disappointment, longing, repentance, relief, and even gratitude. Each tear carries a message, and God understands every one of them. Where people may see weakness, God sees communication. Where the world may see emotion, God hears a cry from the heart. There are tears you shed privately, unseen by anyone else. Tears that fall in the middle of the night, tears you wipe away quickly, tears you never explain. God notices them all. Not one tear is ignored, wasted, or misunderstood. God recognizes the reason behind them, even when you don't fully understand it yourself. Some tears are born from loss, things taken too soon, relationships that changed, doors that closed unexpectedly. Others come from endurance, the slow weariness of holding on when nothing seems to change. God understands the difference. He does not confuse sorrow with unbelief or pain with a lack of faith. He understands that tears often flow not because faith is gone, but because faith is being stretched. Tears can also be prayers of surrender. When you stop trying to control the outcome and finally release what you've been holding inside, tears speak that release. They say, what words can I can't carry this alone anymore. God hears that message clearly and responds with compassion, not correction. Even joyful tears are understood by God. Tears that fall when a breakthrough finally comes, when relief replaces anxiety, when gratitude overwhelms you. God understands those tears too. He sees how much the journey cost you, how deeply the answer was needed, and how faithful you were in waiting. God does not rush you through your tears or shame you for them. He allows them because they are part of healing. They soften the heart, cleanse the pain, and prepare you for restoration. In God's presence, tears are not a sign of defeat. They are evidence of honesty. So when tears are all you have left, know this: you are tears of praying. Your tears are being interpreted perfectly by a God who understands your pain, values your vulnerability, and remains close to you in every moment of your breaking. There are seasons when nothing seems clear, when decisions feel heavy, directions feel uncertain, and prayers feel unanswered. In those moments, confusion can make you feel disconnected, as if not knowing what to do means you are somehow out of alignment with God. But this is a comforting truth. Your confusion does not confuse God. God is never uncertain about what He is doing. While you may see fragments, God sees the full picture. What feels disordered to you is still under divine order in His hands. Your lack of clarity does not interrupt His plan, delay His purpose, or weaken His ability to guide you forward. And confusion often comes when you are between seasons. No longer where you were, but not yet where you are going. This in-between place can feel uncomfortable and unstable, but God understands transition. He knows that growth often requires uncertainty, and transformation rarely happens in familiar territory. Your confusion may actually be evidence that God is moving you into something new. You may not know which step to take next, but God already knows the destination. You may not understand why a door closed or why another hasn't opened yet, but God understands the timing of both. What feels like mixed signals to you is not confusion on God's part. It is coordination beyond your current understanding. God is also patient with your questions. He is not threatened by your uncertainty or offended by your need for clarity. When you ask why or how long, God hears not rebellion, but a heart seeking understanding. He knows the difference between doubt that pulls away and questions that lean in. Even when you make decisions while feeling unsure, God remains involved. He can redirect, correct, and protect you along the way. Your confusion does not remove His guidance. His wisdom is not limited by your understanding. He can lead you step by step, even when you cannot see far ahead. Confusion can also deepen dependence. When answers are unclear, you learn to rely more on God's presence than on your own certainty. You begin to trust not because you understand, but because you believe God does. And that trust becomes a powerful foundation. So when your mind feels crowded with questions and your heart feels unsure of the next move, remember this: God is not confused about you, your future, or your situation. He remains steady, intentional, and aware, guiding you even even when the path feels unclear. There are times in life when you think you know exactly what you need: relief from pressure, a change in circumstances, an answer that will remove uncertainty. And there are other times when you are unsure even of that. Your emotions shift, your desires conflict, and your understanding feels incomplete. In those moments, this truth remains firm: God knows your needs even when you don't. Human perspective is limited to the present moment. We feel what hurts now and focus on what seems urgent now. God sees beyond the moment. He understands not only what you feel today, but what you will face tomorrow and what you are being prepared for long term. Because of this, God's understanding of your needs is deeper than your own awareness. Sometimes what you want is not what you truly need. You may want immediate comfort, but God knows you need endurance. You may want escape, but God knows you need growth. You may want clarity, but God knows you need trust first. This does not mean God ignores your desires. It means He interprets them through wisdom and love. There are needs you are unaware of because they are hidden beneath the surface. God sees emotional wounds you have normalized, a spiritual fatigue you have learned to live with, and fears you have quietly carried for years. While you may ask God to fix what is visible, He often begins working on what is deeper and more lasting. God also knows what you will need before you reach the next season of your life. He prepares you in advance, shaping your character, strengthening your faith, and adjusting your perspective. Of what feels unnecessary or difficult now may be exactly what will sustain you later. God's provision often arrives before the need becomes obvious to you. Even when you pray inaccurately, asking for things that won't truly help you, God responds accurately. He gives according to purpose, not impulse. His answers are not based on your limited understanding, but on His complete knowledge of your life and destiny. This truth invites trust. You do not have to have perfect insight to be cared for perfectly. You do not have to understand every need to have them met in the right way. God's awareness of you is constant, intentional, and compassionate. He knows what strengthens you, what protects you, and what will ultimately lead you forward. When progress feels slow and answers seem postponed, it is natural to assume something is wrong. Delays can feel like rejection, punishment, or neglect. But this is a vital truth to hold onto. Delays are often divine preparation, not denial. What appears to be God withholding something may actually be God working deeply and intentionally behind the scenes. God's timing operates on purpose, not pressure. While we are focused on speed and outcomes, God is focused on readiness. He is not only concerned with what you're asking for, but with who you're becoming while you wait. A delay is rarely about God's inability to act. It is often about His wisdom in knowing when the moment is right. Preparation takes time. Strength must be built. Character must be shaped. Understanding must mature. God were to release certain blessings too early, they could overwhelm you, distract you, or even damage you. What you call waiting, God calls refining. What feels like being held back is often God positioning you correctly. Delays also protect you from what you cannot yet see. There are outcomes you desire that come with responsibilities you are not yet equipped to handle. There are doors you want open that lead to challenges you are not yet prepared to face. God sees the full weight of what you are praying for and lovingly delays until you are strong enough to carry it. During delay, God works internally. He develops patience, humility, discernment, and faith. These qualities cannot be rushed. They are formed in moments of uncertainty and stretching. While you wait for external change, God is often creating internal stability. Delays also reveal motives. They test whether your trust is rooted in outcomes or in God Himself. Waiting exposes impatience, fear, and dependence, not to shame you, but to heal and realign you. Through delay, God teaches you to rely on Him rather than the timing you prefer. A delay that does not cancel the promise. It shapes the vessel that will receive it. God does not forget what He has spoken, and He does not abandon what He has begun. What He prepares, He eventually releases. at the moment that aligns with his purpose, your growth, and the greater good. Every human being makes mistakes. Wrong decisions, missed opportunities, words spoken in anger, or actions taken without wisdom. These moments often leave you feeling guilty, unworthy, or afraid that God's favor has slipped away. But here is a truth that brings hope. Your mistakes do not cancel God's plan for your life. God is not surprised by your errors. He sees the bigger picture while you focus on the moment. What feels like failure or misstep to you is already integrated into his plan for your growth. Mistakes are not the end of the journey. They are opportunities for correction, learning, and deeper reliance on God. Mistakes teach humility. When you stumble, you are reminded that you are not in full control and that perfection is not the prerequisite for God's work in your life. God uses your mistakes to shape character, build resilience, and foster a heart that depends more fully on him. They remind you that the plan is bigger than your understanding and your timing. God also turns mistakes into lessons that guide you forward. A wrong choice can illuminate wisdom you didn't have before. A misstep can reveal paths you might have otherwise overlooked. God interprets these experiences not as disqualifications, but as tools to refine your judgment, to sharpen discernment, and strengthen your perseverance. Mistakes do not define your identity. They reveal areas that need God's intervention. While people might judge, God sees potential. While the world may close doors, God keeps the ultimate destiny open. He measures your life by his purpose, not by your errors. Even repeated mistakes are not outside God's grace. When you fall, God's plan accommodates your recovery. He does not abandon you because of failure. He redirects, restores, and reinforces. The same God who understands your intentions can use even your wrong turns to guide you toward the right destination. Your mistakes also teach empathy. Experiencing failure personally makes you more compassionate toward others who stumble. God uses this to shape your influence, making you a source of encouragement and understanding. Ultimately, mistakes are part of a learning process that prepares you for greater responsibility, stronger faith, and deeper intimacy with God. What may seem like derailment is often God's method of ensuring that you walk into me with wisdom, humility, and strength. When we talk about repentance, many people immediately think of guilt, shame, or regret. Mistakes weigh heavily on the heart, and it is easy to feel that the consequences of past actions define your future. But here is a liberating truth. Repentance is interpreted by God as restoration. When you turn back to him sincerely, your mistakes do not condemn you. They become the starting point of renewal. Repentance is more than saying, I'm sorry. It is a heart posture and acknowledgement that you need God's guidance and a willingness to realign your life with his will. God sees beyond the words to the intention behind them. Even if your steps have been inconsistent, your genuine return is noticed, and he begins the work of rebuilding what has been broken. Through repentance, God restores not only what was lost, but often elevates what was weak. He does not merely erase mistakes, he transforms them into opportunities for growth. Where you see shame, he sees strength and humility. Where you see failure, he sees lessons learned that equip you for greater responsibility. Repentance becomes the doorway to a deeper relationship with him because it aligns your heart with his purpose. God also interprets repentance as evidence of faith. A repentant heart acknowledges authority, trusts his wisdom, and embraces his timing, even if you feel unworthy or incapable. Repentance signals to God that you are ready to receive his restoration. It is a demonstration of trust that he can mend what has been broken and guide you forward. Restoration through repentance is holistic. It affects your mind, your emotions, your relationships, and your spiritual walk. God does not only forgive, he rebuilds, reshapes, and strengthens. This means that turning back to him doesn't just return you to the starting point. It prepares you for a higher level of purpose and impact than before. Repentance also shifts perspective. Through it, God helps you understand the reasons behind your mistakes. the areas that need discipline, and the attitudes that require transformation. It is both corrective and redemptive, teaching lessons while offering renewal. Even when you feel the weight of past choices, God sees the potential for a new beginning. He does not dwell on your failures. He focuses on the direction of your heart. Repentance opens the door to a fresh start, a realignment with His plan, and a restoration that exceeds what you may have imagined possible. There are moments when your efforts seem to lead nowhere, when plans collapse, opportunities fade, and progress feels reversed. In those moments, it is easy to label the experience as failure, but this perspective is often incomplete. What feels like failure may be God's refining process, shaping you in ways success alone never could. Failure exposes limitations of strength, understanding, and control. While success can build confidence, the struggle builds depth. God uses moments of loss, disappointment, and broken expectations to remove what is fragile and strengthen what is essential. Refining is not about destroying you, it is about removing what does not serve your purpose. In refinement, God separates identity from achievement. When things go well, it is easy to believe your value comes from results. When things fall apart, God reminds you that your worth is not tied to outcomes. What feels like failure strips away false security and leads you to rely more fully on Him. God also uses refining seasons to correct direction. Sometimes you are sincere but misaligned. Sometimes you are committed but headed towards something that would limit you later. What you call failure may actually be redirection. God closing a path that looks good but would not lead to growth or fulfillment. Refinement is often uncomfortable because it challenges pride and exposes weaknesses. God allows you to see areas that need healing, discipline, or growth, not to condemn you, but to prepare you. The pressure reveals what needs to change so that you can sustain what is coming next. A failure also deepens compassion. When you have experienced loss, you become more understanding of others. When you have struggled, you become less judgmental. God refines not only your strength, but your heart. He shapes your character so that when you rise again, you lead with humility and wisdom. What looks like a setback may be a setup for greater clarity. What feels like being torn down may be God removing what would eventually collapse under pressure. Refinement is proof that God is invested in your development. He does not refine what He intends to discard. He refines what He intends to use. Pain often feels meaningless while you are in it. It disrupts comfort, challenges faith, and raises questions that have no easy answers. Yet from God's perspective, pain is never wasted. God interprets pain as purpose in formation, shaping areas of your life that could not be developed any other way. Pain slows you down and forces awareness. It brings attention to places within you that were ignored during comfort. God uses pain to reveal what needs healing, correction, or strengthening. What you experience as hurt, God sees as an opportunity for growth that will shape your future. Formation requires resistance. Just as muscles grow through strain, character grows through pressure. God allows pain not to break you, but to form resilience, patience, and endurance within you. These qualities cannot be learned in ease. They are developed through challenge. Pain also deepens spiritual sensitivity. When life is comfortable, it is easy to rely on routine and self-sufficiency. Pain disrupts that pattern and draws you closer to God. It sharpens your awareness of His presence and increases your dependence on Him. Through pain, your faith becomes more personal and less theoretical. God interprets pain with long-term vision. You may see only the wound. God sees the wisdom being formed through it. He understands how today's struggle will equip you for tomorrow's responsibility. What feels unbearable now may one day become the source of strength you offer to others. Pain can also realign priorities. It removes distractions and exposes what truly matters. Through pain, God reshapes desires, clarifies values, and strengthens resolve. You begin to see life differently, not because you wanted to, but because pain changed your perspective. Formation through pain is not instant. It is gradual, layered, and often quiet. God works patiently, allowing healing to take place at the right pace. Even when you do not see progress, formation is happening beneath the surface. Pain is not the end of the story. It is part of the process through which God prepares you for what is ahead. As we reflect on these truths, remember this: God is not confused by your struggles. He is not limited by your words, and He is not distracted by your mistakes. Every tear, every silence, every misstep, and every unanswered question is being carefully interpreted by Him. He sees the depth of your heart, understands the intent behind your prayers, and is actively shaping your life according to His perfect plan. You may feel misunderstood by people, overlooked by circumstances, or uncertain about your future, but none of that changes the reality that God knows you completely. He knows what you need even before you do. He knows what you are going through even when you cannot explain it. He knows what is in your heart even when it remains unspoken. And most importantly, He is working all things together for your good, molding every experience into purpose, character, and destiny. So do not be discouraged when life feels uncertain or when your prayers feel incomplete. Do not be afraid to be honest with God, to bring Him your confusion, your tears, and your mistakes. Trust that He is interpreting in every part of your story with infinite wisdom, perfect timing, and unwavering love. Walk in the confidence that comes from being fully known by the Creator of the universe. Rest in His understanding, trust in His timing, and lean into His plan. You are not unseen. You are not unheard. You are fully known, fully understood, and deeply loved by the one who is interpreting every part of your life.